You're also very handsome. Moving forward into the final game, it's really all about the final two. Um, I should say that the top two payout brackets. So you have the top four, which I'm pretty sure at this point Gravity is very securely in. Even if they don't win, they'll be in that top bracket.
Yeah.
And then you have the bottom bracket, which is fifth through eight. That is actually an incredibly tight race between a lot of these teams to kind of slip into that top bracket.
I mean, you look at 5th to 8th, and then beyond that, I mean, we have like Elpix to Supremacy is 7 points. And I mean, Supremacy at 58, obviously, I mean, I know the guys have already talked about this leaderboard wise, but there's still a lot of movement to play for in this final game. And, we're talking about the difference in money as well. So it's at this point, what have you got to lose, right? Everything's on the line here. And I love it when it comes down to the final game where there's potentially, 5 or 6 teams that can make big jumps.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a difference in it's first through fourth is 1,500, and then it drops off to 1,000 after that. So these guys are definitely going to want to put themselves in that position, and they can. This is a crazy amount of teams that just jumped over Shelter.
Yeah, it is. Again, bit of a funky playing path, not going to lie. It's not often you see one Zaki to Mill to Power.
True.
So a lot of the south side, and again, thinking about the previous playing path, we did have 4 or 5 teams down to the west. I mean, Keck W and everything west, there was like 4 or 5 teams. Liberate this time around, obviously up 70 weight. I don't actually think we've got any major overlaps. I mean, a couple of players kind of dropping for vehicles, but I don't think we really have anything being contested right now. Monkey Business way out on an Extremity and Darky. And okay.
Sometimes it just be like that, Puck.
Sometimes it do. Sometimes Circle 1 pops and there's 3 teams inside it.
On a Wrangle too. I mean, I can understand on Miramar, but a Wrangle, it's very rare. That's obviously going to be quite the cluster on the east side for these teams coming in. I can imagine a team like Supremacy is probably just going to kind of skirt in on the bottom there, just to the southeast on their rotation. A lot of teams coming in from the south. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some teams come up from Military, although I don't think that's going to be too much of a case. Maybe Gravity will go down there and try to rotate just to avoid that kind of southern road or the crossroads just to the west of Supremacy. But even still, I mean, the north, every part of this circle, I feel like to get in is going to be crowded just because, as you said, there's only 3 teams inside of it.
Yeah, and I mean, it was only the last game we were talking about bottlenecks. This time around, not so much of an issue, but the fact that plane was so far north, I think actually might force, majority of the teams to try and move south into this. So even though there isn't a bridge to cross or something like that, you've got the fields kind of south of Chopsticks to take into consideration. I mean, even Gatka Field as well, to an extent. Obviously, a lot of teams are going to try and read the fact of, it was a funky plane. We're going to have a lot more presence in terms of teams kind of looting late, maybe not in a spot they're used to being in. So that's going to throw them off their Circle 1 rotation or, those timings that we talk about. So it could kind of create the opposite effect without the need for a couple of bridges to be the factor.
As you're alluding to, it creates artificial bottlenecks that you normally wouldn't be expecting, especially when you're doing a rotation that may not even have, as you said, a bridge or like a corridor as far as like a land bridge, whatever, in order to stop these teams. So we might see that. I really like the fact that we're just looking at the map real quick. It was San Diego Rarity actually have decided to rotate quite early, and they're already moving in. As we look at our last round winners with NoCap, I really hope we see another performance like that out of them this game, because that was truly impressive the way that they methodically moved around that circle.
They looked like a PCS team in the end game there. They literally took control. Again, they weren't sat back. They didn't just play that ridge. They sent one person out on a wide flank, literally to the extremity of that circle to try and hold Gravity in, or not even necessarily get the kills, but pressure them to the point where they can't have a say in that end game.
And that's a sketchy place as a solo as well. Just to hit that point that you're making. Yeah,
it is. But at the same time, like I said, as soon as Supremacy took contact with Gravity, there were 2 members that pushed across the road, like things like that, just constantly reacting off the information you're receiving. That's why they look so good in that end game.
It kind of been my whole theme, and the thing I've been harping on the most in challengers is being proactive. Sometimes often nice change of the camera there to miss that rock hit, but we saw it. It's often that proactivity that actually separates a good team from an okay team, or a great team from an okay team.
Absolutely. I mean, if you just the smallest data sample, just look at teams that are constantly moving and looking for space before the circle pops, before they are forced to look for space.
Exactly.
Those are the teams that in the longest run, they will perform the most consistent. And it's not even necessarily coming down to how well can you play the edge, how well can you sweep and find those kill points. It's knowing what you have to play in the next circle.
It's just information. And I feel like this oftentimes, especially when we see a lot of teams kind of snake or sit on an edge with nitrogen. Oh, that hurts, man. He did so well this entire event just to go out early in the last game. But it's just about getting the information. When you put yourself on the edge, I think a lot of teams, you actually mentioned this earlier, the teams that are able to play the edge well and move with the circle, you know what I mean? Let it push teams into them. If you don't have that information, you're playing at an edge and you're just proning, I mean, you're never going to be able to make the plays that you're going to want to make, or you're never really going to have the information to make a push. And that's something I feel like most of the teams, especially on the bottom, I mean, whether it's team fights or just good rotations or good proactivity that they're missing. Looking at Liberate, I mean, this is a nice little rotation coming out of them. Monkey Business obviously right in front of them. This is potentially one of those areas where it might be a bottleneck, but I think they're going to be just fine.
Well, I mean, the complete opposite to what I was expecting to happen happened. A lot of teams still trying to get in through Everest. I mean, there's 5 or 6 teams clustered around kind of 1.5 kilometers squared in this circle. Liberate are going to try and make a dash south. There is one member of Elpix actually up on the radio tower, so you can see they're going to avoid that wisely and maybe just try and find something down towards God Compound, or maybe even just West Coast. It looks like they are just going to head straight across here, but Ripper out on the solo play. The rest of his team over in South Georgia, you can see that he's over here maybe just scouting a little bit. Maybe he was kind of...
It's an interesting compound. I don't know what... I don't have a name for it. I don't think you do either.
Package.
Yeah. We'll call it package from now on.
Poro taught me that one.
Okay. That's fair. That's a good position for Liberate to be in, though. I mean, being on the north side of the circle is not the worst. I feel like it is easier to rotate down to the south than it is up to the north, especially on the coast, at least.
Yeah, it is. Again, we're going to see some teams still take into account the water at this stage. Again, I always make the argument, you've got to play the circle as if it's going to center up, because that's going to give you, in terms of odds, the best opportunity to position well. Again, with this much water in, there's no point playing for the hard shift here in Circle 1. You still want to get yourself good enough inroads that you haven't got to make a massive rotation come Circle 3, and then, the water shift isn't necessarily an issue.
True. And again, it's probably not going to center up on water, but it goes back to what you just said, playing as if it's going to center up. And that's what we're seeing from teams like San Diego Rarity, ELPX, obviously. We just watched Liberate get a nice little spot. I think Supremacy is also down somewhere to the south. Team Clueless here that we're checking in is actually on the east side, which I feel like is arguably the most dangerous, depending on where the circle shifts, especially if it's a hard shift. A lot of these teams are going to have to rotate through each other, as we see Clueless just taking out some tires there, which is in circles like this where vehicles are necessary, absolutely necessary for rotations. I mean, that is crippling, especially if you lose 1 or 2 vehicles. I mean, you're kind of out.
Yeah, indeed, it's this stage of the game. I mean, there isn't really many places you're going to be going on foot, defending on this next. So, I mean, unless you're absolutely gifted, but at this stage, again, it's not a huge factor. I'm still just looking at, there's a lot of teams lagging over to the east side. We've got Elusive, No Cap, Gravity, and Cozy all just make it into the east side of the circle. Now it actually does pull back onto land pretty far down to the southeast. So that places the center just kind of southwest of Gatka, in an open field. But again, a lot of space to go for here. Chopsticks, you can get at least 3 teams in there. So going to expect some of these teams on the east side to maybe make moves based off that circle shift.
That wizard tower that's just off center.
Godlike.
If a team can get there, I'm just looking at the map. If a team can actually get there, that is going to be one of the juiciest positions in the circle as we see a lot of teams starting to rotate now, specifically from the north. We may have a little bit of a bloodbath there. As we're going to see Reno actually going to take out True and Hambino. That's half of the members knocked.
Yeah, Nick going to respond back on, gets one flush over there. That's to the compound just to the north side of Chopsticks, but monkey business. Meanwhile, here we go. Yeah, there we go. This is what we want to see. Clueless here, trying to hold down against Cozy.
Remember, Cozy lost one. Nitrogen died early, so it's
yeah.
It's
So
really
this is a 2v2 now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it is going to come down to the members, as I said, of Team Clueless that I myself have not given enough love to, as Nick and NHS are very capable.
Well, show us something, boys.
I believe it would actually be a nice little cheeky play if he gets on the roof, uses that Dacia just to vault on top, then he can get a different angle. He might even be able to get a knock here from that.
Actually, we hop back on. Liberate did try and take the comm tower. They're going to lose Guabi and Ice Tech here. So Baha and Hello Senpai, the two additions to this Liberate roster now. I should say newest additions to this roster.
Super.
Now, actually, the push comes out. They're going to get both flushes here. Uncontested. Hello Senpai off to the north. You see he's had to hop back in. I mean, Baha has to play his life here. There's no point in him overextending. And potentially get 1 or 2 knocks. But with the Scar, it's difficult to rack up knocks back to back. He's actually going to push across and try and pressure this res.
Okay.
Actually going to get the 1 knock. Super will fall, but Tanaka springs back out again. Just overwhelmed there. Too much for him to worry about. Hello Senpai actually going to confirm one of the kills, but that's going to be it. Liberate down to a solo now. Maybe Hello Senpai just going to hang around, look for another kill point or 2, but I don't think he's going to be taking this fight.
I mean, that actually knocks him out of the bracket. It's just up to one member. It looks like moving back over to Team Clueless, NHS has indeed gotten on top of the roof. This is a really nice angle, and if Nick can potentially wrap over to the west a little bit, to his left, they might be able to do something. The issue with how good this position is, though, is that the other building in front, the other yellow, is actually blocking most of what view he would have. And neither of these teams have to move puck. I mean, they can pretty much hang out here for a second. They're still within the circle. But it looks like Cozy's actually going to be pulling off here, which at this point, I mean, you might as well. You're fighting a 2-on-2.
Cut your losses. Yeah. If there's not really going to be anything that's, if one team's not giving you an opening to take the team fight, there's no point wasting time. Again, like you said, circle-wise, highly unlikely it's going to come back here. Vexel maybe was just trying to run a little bit of a bait there. Looks like he's going to come back with the buggy.
And another centered shift.
Pretty much centered up, and hey, look at that wizard tower right now.
Yep, I like this. I think this is a really greedy split, just because the compound that Tomas and Winnie are in can be kind of overrun fairly easily if you have a full team going in. But the way that they've split it, and I'm sure the contingencies they have if they do get pushed, I really like the split from them. I really like the positioning. And
now obviously this circle cutting this compound out, I would now expect somebody to make moves here.
Whether it's a play or a move, something needs to happen here for both of these teams.
It does indeed. You see in the kill feed, Hello Senpai is still doing work. He's going to get a knock onto Lister, and he's actually going to find the flush as well. That's obviously a bit further over to the west, but Pros Don't Snake have allowed a Hello Senpai in their midst, and he's going to do damage for the time being. They are just going to try and hold on to the yellows just over at the roadside. It's just west of Gatka. But actually, looking down, the team tag didn't actually show up, but Caesar is actually in Tempo Reds over there. Or at least he was at one point. I think he's just scooted away on the mini-map, so that is actually open now.
Yeah, and Tempo Reds is a fantastic position in the circle. It's the two little red one-stories just southwest of Gatka proper, and I'm actually really surprised that no one has taken that out. I'm still surprised that we see Cozy and Team Clueless fighting outside the circle as well. That fight has not resolved.
No, it hasn't. But a couple of teams now making moves south. Orion have come into the south side of Chopsticks now. Pros Don't Snake did relocate. They've taken Tempo Reds. Virtue actually sending it across the field, and Hello Senpai is going to find a knock at distance there. Sociopath stealing that one away. But Ascendant's over here in the swamp in the meanwhile. They've got monkey business to worry about. down to the south of them. Don't expect either of these teams really to get too aggro. They're both in the circle right now, so it's going to be trading shots back and forth for the time being.
And with a circle like this, Puck, I don't necessarily think it's probably going to center up or even keep the swamp in for very long. So both those teams that are currently entrenched there, which is Ascendance and Monkey Business, they might have some issues getting out, especially with Elpix just sitting right above them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's the problem is.
I've watched Evasion drive all the way from the north back to the south, and it seems like he's going all the way back to the north again.
Well, Batty pulled up at the yellows next to Hello Senpai, so it's bad. I mean, it's bold to rotate back through that field.
It is, and finally, it looks like Clueless is going to pull off of this. And I don't think anyone else died. Yeah, I don't think anyone else died either. Oh, that's I want to throw up in my mouth.
I was gonna say they've actually left Nick to play spoiler inside the compound here. Maybe just clean up the remnants of Cozy. I don't think they're really going to be expecting somebody to be this ratty, or sorry, as Purdy Curty would say, this cockroachy. If you're snaking in a building, the equivalent is cockroaching, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, it's at the very least, both terms they serve the same purpose.
Oh no, they're very different.
I don't know if one is worse than the other.
The lesser of two evils.
Oh,
okay, Magi with the angle grip mutant.
Mutants. Do you remember when that gun first came out? I think everyone.
No, I don't. I just delete that from my memory.
I used to use that bad boy on burst, little 2-shot, dude.
They're pushing this, dude.
Yeah,
they're sending it south.
I love it.
I love this. They did lose Beck, but Zraven and Magi still looking to get aggressive onto this. Kite's actually sticking that res. He's an absolute madman for sticking that, but Morns is holding down, playing anchor on the other side of the second building. They are going to get that audio cue now. That nade on the other side. Actually, Magi going to find Gribbles with that first knock. The second nade going to do a lot of damage. Magi finds a second knock as well. So just one. It's Morns, the man that was playing anchor previously, now is the one to try and recover this for Monkey Business. I don't think there's much of a chance here. Oh, he swings in. Magi's actually going to overextend a little bit there. Didn't wait for his teammates Raven with the trade just a second too late, but Monkey Business will be the team eliminated in 16th in the final game.
I really do like Maji's play there. I just wish he had waited a second for Raven to be there for the trade. Other than that, Maji's plays there, the nades, everything was great, and I've been really impressed with Maji, honestly, over this Challengers Cup so far.
I think if it's communicated a little better, I think Magi's trying to play off his flash instead of communicating he's gonna flash. But unfortunately, nonetheless, I mean it's not going to make an awful lot of difference to Ascendance or Monkey Business, to be honest with you, looking at the leaderboard.
Still just super impressed with Maji overall. Gravity is in a position here to actually get a nice wrap. They will have to fight potentially for the compound that KEKW, at least the bottom half of KEKW is in, but we'll see if they actually... Nope, never mind. They're going to get shot by Elusive and Detonator.
Yeah, Fizzle's already flexed out a little bit up towards the hillside here, and I mean, this is one of the situations we didn't really have a chance to talk about. This circle centering up on the field now creates two clusters, kind of on the north and the south side. We've got Gravity, Elusive, KEKW, and Orion kind of a factor in that, but a lot of these teams now have to cross paths to make it into this. You can see on the minimap just how congested it is down here. Gravity actually wrapping around Elusive here. They're going to try and pin them on the hillside, stop them from getting in. Fizzle did actually spot one member out. He's actually going to find D-Rich there with the barrel spray. We'll get that one confirmed out. So Gravity will lose one. Detonator falling elsewhere. So Fizzle, the last man standing for Elusive.
Yeah, and I will say, even if Fizzle does go down here and Elusive is eliminated, they will be just on the cusp there of the top 4 payout bracket. But I'm really impressed with Elusive overall. No matter what happens here for Fizzle, I think they are a team that I was heavily critical on. They were a team that, you know, I feel like should have played a lot better.
Oh my god!
And I think they've done that. I think they've done that. Now looking at this shift. I mean, if you're KEKW Warriors, you're having a great time. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. This is like one of those pub games that you just love to play. When you get gifted a position like that. I mean, Prozone Snake also in a good spot. Finally, Vexel will fall here. Kozaku going to fall in 11th place. Elpix
Well, it's
clean that
slide,
one
but
up. Yeah. Sure.
Fall, slide, same thing. I mean, he went down the hill. I'm sorry,
Slither.
Mark. That's a good word. That's a good word. I feel bad for any team that tries to come in on the circle on the west.
I feel bad for around 14 players in this lobby right now. I mean, Elpix have got to make moves off Observatory. San Diego Rarity actually pushing up from the west here. Keck W look like they've got some information on that, but play for fun over here. No pressure at all over in Gatka, but where do they go here? Godspeed. Obviously, those are the tires that we got saw taken out by Clueless early game.
That was Shrew or someone, yeah, just being an absolute menace in the beginning of the game, and now all they have is a single buggy. I mean, they don't have really a great play. This is their play, is to send it into Tempo Reds, where PDS is just waiting for them. Shots are going to come out, and it's just UMAD left. Math is so hurt. UMAD's not even here. He was in the buggy.
Yep, he was driving into a rock, and I think he's still driving into that same rock. He's finally got away from it. Now you can see he's going to try and regroup with the rest of his teams, but he's going to fall. The buggy will slide on. Math going to get this revive off, but I don't think they're going to allow. They shouldn't allow him to get both. He's actually going to find the knock. Sociopath going to get a little bit overzealous there with that Pete. The re-knock comes through. Oh my God, Math is actually knocking them. Oh my God, this nade could be perfect. This nade could be actually huge.
No way.
It's going to stop him from coming out. No. Oh my God, it only did 14 damage. He's going to swing on it. There you go. Dirty's in. Will save Pros Don't Snake, but it should not have cost them that much.
Yeah, that was heroic from Math. I mean, he almost held that down, but luckily that grenade, I think, went into the main room, and Zin was in the bathroom. But yeah, PDS took a casualty there that was a little unnecessary, I believe, as SDR is now trying to figure out the way to navigate this puzzle of where they even play. There's a little bit of a spot there on the dirt road they're going towards. Deadeye is going to get lasered by Hello Senpai.
Well, that's how you trade your teammates,
Those are
guys.
destructible.
That was the single greatest trade of the night. Acro swooping in. He got the back end out a little bit. It looked fantastic. Hello, Senpai.
Yeah, drift there, yeah.
Yeah, love that. I mean, the circle just doing more disgusting things. I'm going to pull down to, of all the teams, Gravity. So PUBG gods shining down upon them. Obviously, already out in first place, a massive margin. Let's see if they can put any more up in the last game. Keck W finally having to come down off of that high ground, the wizard tower on the hillside here. When are you going to send it first?
The spot's actually not bad, though. As you know, this side of the circle, at least in this field, there's like a nice little hill that gives you quite a bit of cover. The biggest issue is just getting rid of SDR. Once they do that, Keck W can somewhat comfortably move a little bit, but Gravity's position is going to be really hard, I think, for them, as well as Orion potentially wrapping. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see somebody stay playing anchor there, but actually Pros Don't Snake going to bail them out a little bit, deal with Subtle. So they're not going to have too much of a threat from SDR. Acro's still got moves to make. Retaliative actually going to pull up with 2 mass next to the crate here. You see that? So that's poor teamwork there. You see they're both diving for it. They're like, you got to call it.
You got to call
whoever calls the crate gets. Exactly.
Yep. Those are the rules, and you can also. This is actually kind of that hill that I was talking about that Orion is starting to use to their advantage now. PDS is actually going to go out, and Keck W can fight from this, but the wrap is really what I'm most worried about, and it seems like Lamborghini is kind of starting that. I'm curious what Gravity is going to do here, as they don't really need to do anything. They can actually just hang out.
No, I mean, they do have a little bit of elevation over on the southeast side of the circle. If they want to get aggressive, they can potentially pressure Orion in the field. You can see actually Pankill, that's the line you can see across your minimap, sending shots over towards Simply Matt. But it doesn't look like they're too interested in getting aggressive. Zoverin actually coming out towards that elevation, like I said. But whether or not they're going to look to have too much input on this circle in particular, I don't think it's worth it, to be honest with you.
I don't think it is either, and this circle is just so gross. As a player, field endings were very frustrating because you really are constricted heavily on where you can act. Like, there's so much space available, but none of it is playable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's phase 6 and we've got 3 teams left, so that kind of puts it in perspective as well. Orion did make moves out of the compound earlier. I like that. They're going to be gifted a crate here.
I would go for that. 100%.
Dude,
it's probably
100%,
not even
100% safe.
It's probably like one of the worst crates to go for, but I'd go for it. And that's why I'm now sitting on the the caster table and not the seat anymore.
Moody would be turning in his grave. If oh no, Gwen said he did actually turn around. He's going to grab it. Okay.
That's smart. No, he's got the vehicle. It only had 2 tires, but it got him there. Ooh, Mark 14 in this circle is pretty nice. It's a high damage.
Now, the problem is, we were talking about this previous circle, Godspeed. The fact that Gravity weren't actively looking for space or looking to pressure into this now is probably going to force them into an awkward position. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to fall here, but now they have to play the underside of this road.
This is pretty much it. This is all they have.
It's difficult to do anything from here.
They might have the... Oh! I actually didn't even realize. Look at that positioning from Tater.
Yeah, really, really nice flank. Actually flexing all the way south of the road. Zovran will have an uphill angle, so Tater's going to need one of his teammates to have an eye, but you can see the tree coverage actually lining up perfectly. Zovran going to have no risk whatsoever going for that one. But Gravity down to 2 now. Just Lipsin and Zovran. And Zovran can potentially do more damage to Orion here. If he can land some more shots. Lamborghini's gone down to about 5 HP. See a nice little smoke grenade thrown down for his teammate there. Gwen Stacy going to try and land some out, but Retaliative finding Lipsin now leaves 1 member standing. Keck W trying to get proactive. This is the sort of play style we've been talking about, Godspeed. They're third partying here in phase 7.
Yeah, and they realized that this was the time that they need to activate, and that's when they started moving as a unit. They are a little clump, but that's okay because they're going to be able to focus their fire mostly on the same angles here. If they can take down each member of the remaining 2 teams, Gravity and Orion, they stand a really good chance of just closing that out. It's just Zovran now at this point, that player that was playing the hillside position that you were talking about. I mean, he did clean up one of the members of Orion that was potentially flanking, but now he's just alone. And look at the push coming out from Keck W. I love this side block.
Yeah, very good. I mean, this gives them a lot of control here. You can see on the minimap, Orion literally forced all the way back towards the blue. It's going to be difficult, really, for them to fight out of this. I mean, Keck W now with that next shift, I mean, it pretty much seals the deal. Tumas actually going to fall. But if they can recover and get this, I mean, this one's in the bag for them.
Yep. And it all, again, just comes from the way that they put themselves in this position. Proning there was a little unfortunate there for Retaliative. Zovran still being a massive thorn in both these team sides. Sitting in the smoke. Is he going to go down to Winnie here? He is. And so it's a 3-on-3 final game. Orion, the team that we desperately wanted to see do well, finally makes it to a top 2 situation. But at this point, I think it really is too late for them.
It is, yeah. Lamborghini actually going to try and jump back behind something, but Tumas finds the second one. Orion down to 1 now. Keck W looking to seal the deal here in the final game.
And Simply Matt is going, look at this. Already, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Instead of just challenging angles or trying to make a push, Matt has gone all the way to the back and is potentially going for a very wide wrap here to get a different angle.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
And Greta now, I mean, potentially...
I want to see Greta win this so bad. You have no idea.
I think everybody in chat right now wants to see Greta win this one and see if she can get anything done. The flashes are coming out now. Winnie and Tumas trying to close down this distance. Matt still playing anchor over towards the backside and try and pop a flash through. Maybe going to find one. She's going to hear the audio cue. She knows exactly where they are. No, Winnie going to spot her in between the bushes. Keck W going to close this one out. 7 kills and the chicken dinner in the final game of the Challenger Cup.